Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. We'll start with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. Slowly close your eyes. Become aware of your breathing process, each and every inhalation and exhalation. Be a witness to the whole breathing process. Allow the free flow of the breath. And as you breathe with such awareness, you will also feel the relaxation. Feel completely relaxed now. Now we'll chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to rise deep within from your navel area, and visualize the sound rising upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your body. And once again, bring your awareness on your breathing. Now as you breathe in, chant the mantra Ma silently along with your in-breath, and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love, Om of divine light. You need not visualize love and light. You can just occasionally feel your heart being filled with that divine love and light when you chant Ma and Om. Continue for some time chanting Ma and Om. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become subtler. You can just feel the vibrations rather than the sound of Ma and Om. Now feel your heart being filled with that love and light. And your heart expanding like a flower bud that opens up into a beautiful and fragrant flower. Now visualize a ray of light going out from your heart to all the beings in this world, just like the rays of the sun. As the rays fall on all the beings on earth, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more compassionate, and more content. And as you imagine so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhvulabhagunthanavatim Tejomayim Nashtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangi Madhusekta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loga Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavandau Punapunaha Ishwarau Guru Ragmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Just as we are starting with the Bhagavatam, just a brief introduction. We had covered quite a bit about all the other stories, and now we are in the the chapter where we are talking about Lord Krishna, and this is before we talk about Lord Krishna and we discuss about his life. There are many things that which one has to be aware of, and that's why just a brief introduction to the Bhakti Shastra and the the knowledge of the scriptures of Bhakti, because it's very easy to misinterpret the life of Lord Krishna and not to understand, especially for people who does not have a relationship with a great guru like Amma. And if we have a relationship, then it's also very easy to understand. And it is said that there are three kinds of bhakti. One is the Vidvesh Bhakti, just like Kamsa had, having anger towards God, seeing God as an enemy. And so Kamsa or Ravana, all these people had that kind of a bhakti. And even if one is an enemy, and if we have that kind of a devotion, just like Kamsa or Ravana, that itself is supposed to be a path towards God, an easy path. But to become an enemy just like that is not that easy, we know. And it took Ravana and Kamsa, as we know the story, that they were the gatekeepers of Lord Vishnu, and which they were given the choice between taking innumerable births as bhaktas or devotees, or only 3 births as enemies of God, which was much more powerful than becoming devotees of God for many births. And they chose to have the Vidvesha Bhakti, that is having enmity towards God and reaching God as quickly as possible. The second type of bhakti is known as Jnana Bhakti, as Amma says, Tattvattule Bhakti, means bhakti combined with knowledge. Again, one here we have to understand, when we talk about bhakti, it's not talking about devotion, an emotion. And we are talking about bhakti means it's the highest form of love that we have for God. In the Bhagavata Dharma, it is said that it aims at the essence of Bhagavata Dharma is to have para bhakti or ananya bhakti to the to God or your Guru. So, which means to have that kind of the devotion of the highest order. And where, first of all, it is selfless. And secondly, you don't expect anything back from the Lord. And this is the bhakti that we talk about in many of these stories in Bhagavatam. And so especially this love for Lord Krishna and the uniqueness of Lord Krishna's incarnation was that it is also called as the perfect incarnation. Why? Because the uniqueness consisted of specialization in depicting this form of divine love throughout the life of Lord Krishna and his relationship with various devotees. And while he was young, the inhabitants of Vraja knew him as a child, and they had the feeling that it is my own child, our child, or our friend. And the gopis had the feeling that he's our lover or our beloved. And so it was kind of a very intimate and personal relationship, rather than this, the Jnana Bhakti. Jnana Bhakti, where I was saying, was the kind of bhakti where Amma says about Tattvatale Bhakti, means knowing the principle, understanding scriptures, and having devotion at the same time. So it is the Tattvatale Bhakti means bhakti with the understanding of the principles of bhakti. As Amma says, usually, for an ordinary worldly person, the bhakti means it's a kind of a business with Lord, with God. And we say that God, pass me in this exam, or get me a job, get me a wife, or get me a husband, and I will give you 100 coconuts, or I will give you a payasam or a pudding, sweet pudding, and all these things. So it's kind of a commercial interaction between God and you. And so it's a business. And God, as Amma says, God does not need any of these things. And God does not want anything from us, because it is actually God who gives us everything. And similarly, so if we have that kind of a knowledge that God is the creator of all these things, and it is from God that everything originates, and everything is given by God, and it's just like that story where Amma talks about the second son of a father who gave him a present, and when the father asked him, "Where did you get the money?" "Oh, I used your credit card." So if we know that we are using God's credit card for all these things and giving it back to God, it does not make sense. So the understanding that principle and having, what is the advantage of understanding is that we become more and more selfless rather than selfish. And this business-like relationship tends to go down, and we understand that it is God who is providing everything. And also the fact that when we go through good times as well as bad times, especially bad times, because when we go through good times, we don't give any credit to God and say it is everything because of us. But when the bad time comes, we blame God or Guru for all the things that is happening in our life. And understanding that both good and bad times are given by God, and it is to go through these experiences in life, and ultimately, the ultimate goal, as I said, is of Bhagavatam, as Bhagavatam says, is to have that kind of a love to God. Usually what happens is When we go through good times, of course, we don't have too much love because we are attached to our worldly achievements and results and things that we get from the world. But when the things go bad, when they go south, then we start blaming God for everything. And then we get angry and then we lose our faith. So instead of that, just having the same amount of love and same amount of dedication, whether it's good or bad, is Tattvatala Bhakti. And the third one is known as Mudha Bhakti. And in Mudha Bhakti, that is what is said in Bhagavatam. And Bhagavata, mainly it is talk about the Mudha Bhakti, in which there are two, you can say in Mudha Bhakti there is one type of Mudha Bhakti which says, God is mine. And also, when the other type of Bhakti is that when the Advaita comes in, he says he is mine and I am he and he is me, or she is me. So in Bhagavata, what is happen is it is always said I am his, and we can say that God is my own, and I am God's child, or I am God's as the gopis did, beloved husband, wife, in any way, whichever way you can relate to God, you can relate to God in whichever way. And during this, the uniqueness, as I said, of this love that the gopis and the gopas and the people had for Lord Krishna was that he is our child, our friend, our lover. So it supervened his greatness. Means, if you just think about this, if we knew how great Amma was, would we go near her? We'll be so afraid. I remember in olden times when Amma used to do Devi Bhava, she was very serious, and there was so much of power coming from just that form. And I used to be so nervous going to her. And I remember one time, during the Devi Bhava, in the Kalari, the old Kalari, what happened was there was no fan. And as you know, it was only like a room which was 6 feet long and 4 feet wide, and so many people inside. It was very hot, so we used to fan Amma with a palm leaf fan, one of those handheld fans. And I used to do it for 2 hours, and the miracle was that I would never feel any pain in my hand. And one time, as I was fanning Amma, accidentally, when she moved her head, I hit the crown. And suddenly she looked at me and gave me a look in which I was completely burnt into ashes. So that was the power at that time. But nowadays, when you see Amma in Devi Bhava, she's so ordinary, just like a mother, sitting there, chatting with everybody, asking questions, and doing so many things. So if we knew the real majesty and the greatness of Amma, we would not go near her. We cannot have a personal relationship. So Amma takes away that. So what happens is the theoreticians of the Bhakti doctrine, especially Narada, have discussed as to how this form of love that we have for Amma or God or for the Guru can be distinguished from worldly love. And that's why, again coming back to Bhagavata Dharma, in worldly love, it is always motivated by thought of selfish gains. And
what can I get? And what is the pleasure I'm getting from this? And whereas in the spiritual love, in the Muda Bhakti, the gain of the and the pleasure of the person concerned is found to consist in the gain and the pleasure of our Guru or God. Are we making Amma happy? Are we making her happy through our love? And is she becoming more happier through our devotion, through our love? So that is the difference. And Narada maintains that the consciousness of Krishna's greatness was present in the minds of Gopikas. And in some places, some of the Gopikas speak of Krishna as being not the son of Devaki, but the witness of the innermost conscious essence in all beings, which is the essence of Vedanta. So Gopikas are talking also Vedanta. And Yashoda saw this cosmic form when he opened his mouth, and many other examples of his superhuman power were also witnessed by them. But in spite of this, Gopikas sporadically talking about this, it was made inoperative by the overpowering sense of nearness and tender relationship that they entertained towards him. We can easily understand all these things. When we hear satsang about Amma, when devotees talk about Amma and saying that Amma appeared this here, appeared there, and helped me this thing. So what happens is we know that Amma is not just, cannot be just put inside this form of a 5-foot Indian woman. And she's much more than that. But at the same time, if we go near Amma with that feeling, we will not be able to stand there. So that's why God or the Guru appears, or in this case Lord Krishna appeared to them as our child, our friend, our lover. And because of this mindness, that is mamata, and not of the greatness, that is mahatmyam, and the feeling of closeness came by. And in the background of the Bhagavata teaching, which transmutes this love into a divine sentiment, is not any subjective excellence in the person concerned, but the fact that this love is fixed on Krishna, the divine incarnate, and the alchemist of all human souls. And as we know, just like Amma, Lord Krishna also reacted to this love in a manner appropriate to its form as a child, and is looked upon as a child, as a friend when he is looked upon, and when he looked upon as a lover or a husband, he acted just like that. And whatever, in whichever way they related to Lord Krishna, he related back to them. And we know the same thing with Amma also. In whichever way we relate to Amma, like a mother, grandmother, or even people have taken her to be a lover. Amma does not mind, and Amma says that's okay. And but what happens here, as we know, is that relationship purifies the soul and converts even the most sensuous passion into sublime, selfless love, and takes one to the highest spiritual goal. So the Bhagavata lays down the dictum, saying that by feeling that closeness with Lord Krishna, the gopis, and even unintelligent creatures like cows, deer, elephants, serpents, attain to spiritual consummation And they never learned the Vedas. They never served any teacher. They practiced no austerity. But by association with the holiness, they attained to me. That's what Lord Krishna said. As we can see, the same case with Amma. It's not only human beings, but cows. They're saying like cows, deers, all kinds of animals, and even plants, we can say, in that way. And serpents, elephants, deer, and all these things. And look at Shakti, Amma's dog, or look at Bhakti. And we cannot compare Bhakti or Shakti to an ordinary dog. And how they behaved. Bhakti and Tumben every day in the morning, when it is, Amma would say that at 4 o'clock, they would scratch the door and they want to just run out. They would go, and what they will do is they will visit all the apartments or the flats and wake up people who are sleeping, and then after that they will go and sit and attend the Archana. And so every day they used to do that. And what kind of a dog would do that? Or what kind of a human being would do that? Forget dog. And so it is said that whatever sentiment, whether it be an animal, a human being, through the closeness to Lord Krishna, and now we can see to Amma, and we can see that Kamsa through fear, Shishupala through enmity, the Vrishnis through clannishness, and the Pandavas through affection, and the sages through devotion attain to him. That's what Bhagavata says. And again, the Bhagavata contradicting the Narada's dictum, as it were put in the mouth of Lord Krishna, hundreds of women attain to me, the Supreme Brahman, through not knowing my real nature, but loving me as a paramour, in whom they took delight. So these descriptions of these relationships in the Bhagavata will therefore resemble very much the depiction of human love. The most noteworthy of this is the description of the relationship between Krishna and the gopis of Vrindavan, as between a paramour and his beloved. So now we are coming to the next episode, where the the relationship between the gopis and Krishna. And so many critics have not been wanting, who have cavilled at the moral stature of Krishna for his questionable relationship with the gopis, and the propriety of devotional texts like Bhagavata, including in itself such highly erotic episodes. And so various attempts have been made to get over these difficulties by several theories, some of the most important of which are as follows. And they say the whole episode of Lord Krishna and the Gopikas is symbolical and not factual. The Gopikas stand for the soul, Jivatman, and Krishna for the supreme soul, Paramatman, and the intense aspiration of the former for the latter is depicted through that love. And the Jiva in this philosophy is taken as the Prakriti of the Lord, and therefore depicted as female. And the second one is, it says, the Bhagavata states that Krishna was only a boy of 10 or 11 at that time. So highly physical descriptions of the relationship between him and Gopikas, who are depicted as ladies of mature years, are only poetic exaggerations of some innocent pastoral sports of Krishna with boys and girls of the cowherd community, among whom he spent his boyhood days. There's always misinterpretation of that relationship. Now we know because of our relationship with Amma. I remember when we joined the ashram, Amma was only when I joined the ashram, Amma was only like 30 years old, but she looked like 18. And people used to say that never go there. That lady will once all the young people will go, that the lady will catch hold of them and put them there, and she's a sorceress. That's one way of saying that. Second one was saying that the Swamis, the present Swamis and the Brahmacharis at that time were in love with Amma. They fall in love with Amma, and that's what happened, and that's why they are staying in the ashram. So all kinds of interpretations, and even, as I said, eroticism was superimposed. And we know that kind of love only when we are in the vicinity of such a great master, or when we have that kind of relationship with the master. And we know that it surpasses physicality, mentality, and even in one sense any philosophical description, and goes beyond intellectual understanding, and only the experiencer and Amma knows what is happening. And so when we talk about this same thing, when Lord Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis and asked them to come out, and it's depicted so in one sense we can say it's so sensually or erotically, and say that, oh, Lord Krishna wanted to see the gopis bare bodies. We can misinterpret like that. But in fact, at that time, of course, as they were saying earlier, Lord Krishna was only at the age of 8 or 10. And the gopis and gopikas were 24, 25. So, in one way, that's what they are saying. It's an exaggeration of the human mind, which always want to find fault, or they are sensual in that nature. So they wanted to depict it in that way. So they did not even want to accept the historicity of such a relationship. So you can imagine that. And according to the third theory, while historicity is accepted, it is maintained that the gopikas were devoid of bodily consciousness. And they met Krishna at a spiritual level. Therefore, there is nothing carnal about it. And the description of purely mystical significance. So, but that is the truth. And in support of this, Bhagavata, verse 10, 33, 38, states that while the gopikas were away, engaged in Rasa Leela, their relatives and their people found them at home also. So they were present in their family homes also. So how can that happen? While they were having the Rasa Leela with Lord Krishna, at the same time, they had also, the people in the home had that feeling that they were present in the home. And so this mystic element also hinted in the very beginning of the description of Rasa Leela, in the statement of that Lord Krishna took part in assuming his Yogamaya or mystic power. So that was the Yogamaya of Lord Krishna. So now, what does the Bhagavata itself say on the point? While it is true that the Bhagavata text holds forth hints justifying all three explanations given above, the overwhelming evidence of language and description of the text declares that the Gopika episode was a physical fact, and all aspects of love were involved in that relationship. So the Bhagavata is being narrated by Lord Shuka to Maharaja Parikshit. So the story where Parikshit was bit by the serpent, and he got the curse, and he was supposed to die in 7 days to be bitten by the serpent Takshaka. And so he goes and sits by the banks of river Ganges, where Lord Shuka comes and narrates the Bhagavata story to him. And so he questions Sri Shuka whether there was any ethical propriety at all in it. And in his famous reply, Lord Shuka does not explain why the facts, but expounds their significance as follows. He says, divine personages are found to override the rules of dharma, ethics, and do actions apparently of a shocking nature. But just as no impurity affects fire, which consumes everything, nothing causes blemish to such a person of immense potency. But lesser men should not imitate them in these respects, even in mind. So you can say that because these people have transcended the norms of human dharma, that is ethics, and so they need not follow this dharma and the rules and regulations. They can go beyond that. And the fact is, they are saying, he's warning them that it is for them. They can do anything, but if we start doing like that, we should not do that. We cannot imitate them. And he says, if we do so, it is foolish, and they will perish as one will do if one drinks poison. And he says the example of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, when the milky ocean was churned, the Kalakuda poison came out. And Lord Shiva took the Kalakuda poison and drank it. But can an ordinary man do this? And there is a beautiful story in the life of Adi Shankaracharya also. Adi Shankaracharya knew that his disciples started imitating him, which was very dangerous. So he wanted to teach them a lesson. So one day, as they were, in those days they were walking from one place to another. As he was walking, suddenly they saw a blacksmith's small shed. And Adi Shankaracharya coolly walked inside the blacksmith's shed. And the blacksmith was melting iron. And the iron was really hot. And not only that, it was liquefied. So Adi Shankaracharya just poured it in a pot, drank it, and then drank a little bit, and then passed the cup to his disciples and asked them to drink it. They all ran away. So we cannot follow their example. We should not follow their example. So that's what they are saying here. And Lord Shikha says, not even in your mind. So it says, don't think about it. This was saying. So a wise man will follow only such of their actions which are consistent with their words. It is admitted for the enlightened men with an ego sense, there is no selfish gain to be attained by any actions, and no evil to be warded off by abstinence from them. And what good or evil can affect the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the master of all beings? Devas, men, animals, and the rest. And by devotion to his holy feet, the great sages derive that yogic power by which they become free from the bondage of all action. So how can there be an bondage or sin for the universal being who has assumed a body out of his own will? And by devotion to him, even the great sages derive their spiritual excellence. So he who permeates all beings, including the Gopikas and their husbands, and direct the minds and the senses of everyone, even he, out of sportive intention, has assumed a body as Krishna. For bestowing blessings on all beings, he has assumed a body, and he sports with that body in ways that will interest and attract men to him. By Krishna's mystic power, the inhabitants of Brija found their women in their homes all the time and had no occasion to be displeased with Krishna. So that's what Lord Shuka said. It's not only during Rasa Leela, but during all the other times, they found the Gopikas in their homes. Which is in one sense we can say the highest Vedantic attainment, where you can see everything as Lord Krishna, but it is Lord Krishna who himself had manifested as the gopis. So that's Lord Shuka's argument. And from this it's clear that Krishna faced Kamsa and Shishupala with weapons in hand and raised them to the height of spiritual glory by delivering deadly blows on them. He received the Gopikas who came to him with passionate love, stimulated by his exquisite physical charm. Although mentally he was unperturbed and ever equipoised in his spiritual essence. So, but that is, Amma always says this. It is not that the greatest miracle that Lord Krishna performed is not that he lifted the Govardhana mountain, but the love of the gopis for Lord Krishna was the greatest miracle. So this is what they are saying. By Lord Shuka says the same thing. What started as a physical passion in the Gopikas transformed into a pure spiritual experience in the course of their association with Lord Krishna. And by the touch of Krishna, who in the words of the Gita is the Brahman Supreme and who is in the most exalted state of existence and the seat of all purity and holiness, the lustful, that is the Kamukis, lustful females and the passionate women became converted into premikas, means persons endowed with rapturous loving devotion, transcending body consciousness like the Paramahamsas. So if we remember this aspect of the Gopi-Krishna episode, we shall find that Krishna needs no defense, and we need not be apologetic about him by taking refuge in the allegorical interpretations. So as stated in the Bhagavata, the yogis concentrating their mind on him as the indwelling self, the philosophers who try to see him as pervading everything, the asuras who live in mortal dread of and in confrontation with him, and the passionate women who seek physical union with him in violation of all social and ethic sanctions. They are alike to him. So they attain to him. That's also we can say that. So in no matter what they were, that's the beauty about Bhagavatam. As Bhagavata says, the highest dharma is just to love without any expectation, having that selfless love. And he says the fact that the minds of all these are directed to him with intensity for sufficient reason for their transformation, his response in the manner appropriate to their respective attitudes. And in the study of Lord Krishna's life, we should not forget that the Bhagavata looks upon him not as an ordinary man, but as the Bhagavan Swayam, that is Lord himself, the Supreme Being himself manifest as man to reveal how he becomes the many, but continues to be the one uncorrupted and perfect being in spite of his transformation into many through his Shakti. So to attribute corruption to Krishna for any of his actions is therefore as proper or as absurd as attributing corruption to God for manifesting this enigmatic world. So all his actions were without any self-centered purpose and were only the expression of the Lord's redeeming love for the jivas. Being the one existence that has come, the many, he is a supra-moral, and the human standards have no relevance in this case. So it's absolutely absurd to say anything to comparing to the love and the relationship of human beings to that of Lord Krishna, or even Amma to her beings, to all her children. And we can say that this love, is definitely which cannot be seen anywhere in any relationship, and it is of the highest of the relationship. As it said that the Gopikas attained, as Amma says, what even the sages could not attain by so much austerity and for thousands of years. They attained that kind of state which even the sages could not attain, through their association with Lord Krishna. I mean, it is our greatest fortune that we have that kind of a relationship with Amma. And we have, we don't, I don't have to say this, and I can vouch for it, but the same thing can happen to all of us. It doesn't matter. When we have that kind of a relationship with Amma, we will attain to that spiritual heights, without doubt. If Gopikas could attain that, we can also attain that. It's a done deal. So we don't have to worry about that. So it is said that so in the Bhakti is that is devotion to such supreme Bhakti, not just ordinary Bhakti, is supposed to be the fifth Purushartha. The four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. These are the four Purusharthas. So Dharma, as you know, righteousness or duty. Dharma, Artha, earning wealth. Kama, that is desires. And Moksha, liberation. These are the four Purusharthas, meaning the goals of human lives. But Bhagavata talks that Bhakti is the fifth Purushartha. So other than these four. So he says that the devotion of this type also can end in the sense of unity. In the understanding, I am He. In the description of Gopi-Krishna episode, it is stated that at a stage of their love for Him, they felt themselves to be He. So they became identified with Lord Krishna. And regarding the state of their mind, it is further stated by Lord Krishna Himself, by the strength of their attachment to me, they became oblivious of their individuality. And the whole objective world just as mind of a contemplative in samadhi. And the river merged in the ocean dew, overcoming all distinctions created by name and form. We know innumerable stories of Gopikas. Why do we want to go to Gopikas story? We know stories of many of our Swamis also, right? When one of the stories is one of the Swamis were taking a bath, and he heard that Amma had just gone out for a house visit, and Amma was already standing. So he came out without any clothes, because he was not aware of his body. Just as he heard that Amma is coming, then suddenly he jumped out. And Amma talks about this also, that about the brahmacharinis, when they heard that Amma was going to the seashore for meditation, they all rushed, and Amma was walking on the road. They did not even see Amma. They pushed Amma over, and they was running, pushing Amma. So you can see that kind of, but Amma did not, find fault with that. That's the beauty. Because they had forgotten everything. All they heard was that Amma is going, or Amma's, doing something, and then they just forgot everything. And so that's why he's saying that such a kind of contemplative mind, which can be attained only in samadhi, that is created by having that kind of attachment to me. That's what Lord Krishna says. But this union contemplated has necessarily to be distinguished from sayujya, which is the goal of bhakti based on jnana. Sayujya means to merge in the form. So the goal of jnana bhakti is sayujya. And in sayujya, the individuality merges with the Bhagavan, who is the absolute of philosophy, and the jiva ceases to be an individual by becoming one with the absolute, just like the river ceases to be a river when it becomes one with the sea. This is mukti or release. But in relationship of this type of represented by the inhabitants of Brija and those who follow their path, the goal of spiritual striving does not consist in mukti, which is the about type. And in the ripeness of their devotion, devotees get the knowledge of the unity of all existence in him, but unity in consciousness does not. For the devotee, entail an ontological cessation through dissolution in him. So the sense of personal relationship and the urge for serving the Lord result in the retention of the individuality, and the devotee becomes an eternal servant of the Lord. So long as he has his human body, he lives as a Bhagavatama. Bhagavatama, the highest of Bhagavata or devotee, one who sees the Lord in all beings and all beings as resting in the Lord, and he serves the Lord in all and in every possible way. Again, so this is what they are saying. In all the other types of devotion, one is trying to merge their individuality in the Supreme Self. But whereas in this Mudha Bhakti and the highest form of Bhakti, which is explained through Bhagavata, one does not want to have that kind of a merging with the Lord. They want to have that separation. Why? Then only because if you have a separation, then only you can serve and love your guru or God. I always just give the example. We don't want to look anywhere except again during Swamiji's 50th birthday. Amma called him, and when he said it was his 50th birthday, Amma called him and said, "What do you want, my son?" And everybody thought that he was going to ask for moksha realization. And he did not ask for that. What did he say? He said, "I want to see Devi Baba." That's all. So people felt that he was so foolish. And he could have asked for realization and got realization at that moment. And people thought he was so foolish. Many devotees felt like that. So, but he was not really foolish. That's why the highest form of devotion, they say, is not asking for anything, is not finding anything, but just the fact that all he asked for was for Devi Bhava. And so that's what he's saying. This here they are saying. Bhagavattama. That is Bhagavadottama. That is Uttama, who is Bhagavadotta. That is who is the highest amongst the Bhagavatas. And what do they want? They want only to live, have a human body so that they can serve and they can see the Lord in all beings and all beings resting in the Lord, and to serve, the most important, to serve the Lord in every possible way. And he says, after he gives up the human body, as also the subtle mental sheets of Prakriti which have been vehicles of his transmigrations, he attains a non-material form of Shuddha Sattva, that is non-material pure stuff, or the Bhagavati Tanu, that is the body of a Bhagavata, serves the Lord in the region of the light and blessedness called Vaikunda, and also comes as a participant in the Lord's Leela or redemptive work as the incarnate. So even after leaving the body, what do they want? They don't merge. They don't want realization. They don't want sakshatkaram. What do they want? They live in this abode of the light, abode of God, which is known as Vaikunta. And whenever the Lord comes, assumes as an incarnation, they would want to come back. Again, we don't have to look for the proof anywhere except the young kids now, with which Amma talks every day. Can you just imagine these 5-year-olds can just ramble Bhagavad Gita just like that? And how can they chant all these things? How can they have such kind of a love for Amma? Imagine this. They don't, some of them call their mother as, their adopted mother. And they just say, like Niranjan calls his mother Chechi, means his sister. And my real mother is Amma. So can you imagine that? At such a young age, having that kind of detachment and discrimination. So one of the stories I would say was, the young kids, and we can see that they in fact were Amma's devotees in their previous lives, and they wanted to come back and be with Amma. And these little kids are nothing but the devotees who had left their mortal body, and now they are again born with Amma. So we can see that in their life, that there is a continuation with Amma, and their relationship with Amma cannot be without a continuation, because we can see clearly that when they have so much of love, so much affection for Amma, there is a certain continuity which is beyond our comprehension. And so this beauty, that's what they are saying in Bhagavata, that what happens when they leave their body, they do not want to merge their body in the supreme consciousness, but come back whenever the Leela or the incarnation comes, and then be with that the incarnation. And so they are saying that such Bhagavatottamas and their preference for the bliss of the divine service over liberation, mukti, and the absorption of Godhead. And it is said that Bhagavata has added Bhakti as the 5th Purushartha, which is the ultimate, the 5th Purushartha to be attained, which is above all the other Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So this is the highest, as according to Bhagavatam. People may disagree or agree. It doesn't mean that. But in the beautiful depiction of Bhakti in Bhagavata is such that Bhakti is as I said, it's not the ordinary Bhakti that which we talk about, but the highest form of Bhakti. As I said, we can call it different names, but here we say Mudha Bhakti, is where in which you are even beyond all the other 4 dharmas, Purusharthas, and beyond all the 4 Purusharthas, and ultimately you are asking only for the 5th one, which is Bhakti. So we can see that in such a beauty in the Bhagavata about devotion, and once as we can see in the life of Amma itself, and her devotees. Many of them don't want such liberation. They don't want mukti. They still want to be with Amma. And they come back, take different bodies, and come back, be with Amma, no matter what happens. And as I said, definitely, because I know one of them, and I knew his grandfather. And I was very close with his grandfather. So I used to just mingle with his grandfather quite often. And when this child was born, he had the exact mannerisms of his grandfather. He talked like his grandfather and did everything. And his grandfather would not stop talking the same thing with him. He will just keep on talking. And just I could see that same image. And one day, as I was standing near Amma said the same thing. She just gave a hint. She didn't say that he was his grandfather, who has now incarnated as his son's son. So she said, to his father, the child's father, he said, he's just like your father, and he acts like your father itself. So from that I could understand the hint that Amma gave was that this child was the grandfather who was born again to be a devotee of Amma. So in such a beauty, there is such a beauty to that kind of a relationship with God. And whether it exists or not, it doesn't matter, but the love which we all experience, it is true. We know that it is true. And it's not because of our some spiritual height, or it's not because of something that we have done in the past. It is because of Amma. And the fact that she allows us to be with her and to interact with us in such a manner that we can be so close to her and have that kind of a love which surpasses everything in this world. And that beauty of the love can never be described, can never be understood, and can never be explained to somebody else, because as we know, when we see Amma, we go completely bonkers mad. Just like one of the devotees were saying, my grandmother and grandfather has died 5 times, because every year when Amma comes, they say my grandmother died, so I'm going to console my family. And one day the manager asked, does your grandfather and grandmother die in July period? Only. So, it's beyond explanation. And it doesn't matter to us. It's such a beauty, our love for Amma and our Amma's love for us. So that, that is the beauty that which Bhagavata explains, which cannot be related, which cannot be comprehended by an ordinary intellect. Om Amriteshwarya Namah.
अमृतरूपिणि मृदुसुभाषिणि अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
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 अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अमृते वन्दनम्
अमृते वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
जनकनन्दिनि जननिरञ्जिनि जनिविनाशिनि वन्दनम्
जनकनन्दिनि जननिरञ्जिनि जनिविनाशिनि वन्दनम्
जनकनन्दिनि जननिरञ्जिनि जनिविनाशिनि वन्दनम्
जनकनन्दिनि जननिरञ्जिनि जनिविनाशिनि वन्दनम्
सकलसुरमुनि विधिनिषेविनि सुखन श्यामल मालिनी सुखन श्यामल मालिनी
सकलसुरमुनि विधिनिषेविनि सुघन श्यामल मालिनी सुघन श्यामल मालिनी
अमृतरूपिणि
मृदुसुभाषिणि अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अमृतरूपिणि मृदुसुभाषिणि
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि
प्रकृतिकारिणि दुरिदवारिणि प्रणदरक्षगि वन्दनम्
प्रकृतिकारिणि दुरितवारिणि प्रणतरक्षगि वन्दनम्
प्रकृतिकारिणि दुरिदवारिणि प्रणदरक्षगि वन्दनम्
प्रकृतिकारिणि दुरितवारिणि प्रणतरक्षगि वन्दनम्
अमृतवाहिनी जय महेश्वरि शिवकुडुम्बिनि वन्दनम् शिवकुडुम्बिनि वन्दनम्
अमृतवाहिनी जय महेश्वरि शिवकुडुम्बिनि वन्दनम् शिवकुडुम्बिनि वन्दनम्
अमृतरूपिणि
मृदुसुभाषिणि अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अमृतरूपिणि
मृदुसुभाषिणि अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अमृते वन्दनम्
अमृते वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
अभयदायिनि वन्दनम्
शंकर सुध हो तुम सारे संगड़ हर लो तुम
शंकर सुत हो तुम सारे संकट हर लो तुम
शंकर सुध हो तुम सारे संगड़ हर लो तुम
शंकर सुत हो तुम सारे संकट हर लो तुम
दास तुम्हारो रे हमको वांछित वर दो तुम
दास तुम्हारो रे हमको वांछित वर दो तुम
दास तुम्हारो रे हमको वांछित वर दो तो मुखदेवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना वारण मुखदेवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना विघ्नेश्वर वरदा सुंदर गंगाधर तनया विघ्नेश्वर वरदा सुंदर गंगाधर तनया मुझ पर चढ़ कर आओ माया मोह हरो सारो
उस पर चढ़ कर आओ माया मोह हरो सारो
मंगल हमको दो तुम ही एक सहारा हो
मंगल हमको दो तुम ही एक सहारा
वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना विघ्नेश्वर वरदा सुंदर गंगाधर तनया सिद्धि विनायक तुम जल्दी सिद्ध करो सबका
सिद्धि विनायक तुम जल्दी सिद्ध करो सबका
बलिहारी तेरे हर लो विघ्न हमारे तुम
बलिहारी तेरे हर लो विघ्न हमारे
वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
विघ्नेश्वर वरदा सुंदर गंगाधर तनया
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 वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
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 विघ्नेश्वर वरदा सुंदर गंगाधर तनया
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 वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
वारण मुख देवा गौरी नंदन गजवदना
मारणमुखदेवा गौरी नन्दन गजवदना
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
नन्दनन्दन कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर बाला
नन्दनन्दना कृष्ण गोपाला मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर बाला
मधुराधिपते वरदाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
मधुराधिपते द्वारकाधिपते वैकुण्ठपते श्रीराधापते
देवगी नन्दन हे घनश्यामा गोपी मनोहर मंगलधामा
देवकी नन्दन हे घनश्यामा गोपी मनोहर मंगलधामा
कालिय मर्दन हे नंदलाला
कालियमर्दन
नाचो नाचो रे भैया बांसुरी वाला मधुराधिपते सूरदास के प्रभु गिरिधारी राधा कृष्णा कुंज विहारी
सूरदास के प्रभु गिरिधारी राधा कृष्णा कुंज विहारी
वसुदेव नंदन असुर निखंडन
वसुदेव नंदन असुर निखंडन
भव भयभंजन जगन्वंदना मधुराधिपते
द्वारकाधिपते वैकुंठपते श्रीराधापते
मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गोपी कृष्ण कन्हैया
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 अभी देना तुम तेरा दर्शन
अभिदेवा तुम तेरा दर्शन
अभी देना तुम तेरा दर्शन
अभिदेवा तुम तेरा दर्शन
मेरा कृष्ण कन्हैया मधुराधिपते
द्वारकाधिपते वैकुंठपते श्रीराधापते
कृष्ण गोपाल मीरा खेल प्रभु गिरधर वाला
कृष्ण गोपाल मीरा
मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर
मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर
ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം കിലുങ്ങവേ ഉലഞ്ഞുറഞ്ഞുലാസ്യമാർന്നു നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം കുലുങ്ങവേ ഉലഞ്ഞുറഞ്ഞുലാസ്യമാർന്നു നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക ക്ഷണം ക്ഷണം കുലുങ്ങിയാടി വാളിളക്കി ഭൈരവി എൻ മനസ്സരിഞ്ഞു തള്ളി അട്ടഹാസമിട്ടവൾ ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം കിലുങ്ങവേ ക്ഷണം കുലുങ്ങിയാടി വാളിളക്കി ഭൈരവി ശൂലമിട്ടിളക്കി എന്നെ ഞാനിനെ പിളർന്നവൾ നിസ്വനാക്കി എന്നെ ആത്മവീതിയിൽ എറിഞ്ഞവൾ നഷ്ടമായൊരിഷ്ട വസ്തു കെട്ടിയാഞ്ഞു പുൽകുവാൻ പാടുപെട്ടൊരെന്നെ നോക്കി ദുർഗഹാസ്യമാർന്നു. തെളിഞ്ഞു മാഞ്ഞിടുന്ന ചിത്രജാലമായ സൃഷ്ടിയിൽ അമ്പ നിന്നെ ഞാൻ മറന്നതെന്റെ കുറ്റമാക്കുല. അമ്പ നിന്നെ ഞാൻ മറന്നതെന്റെ കുറ്റമാക്കുല. ദേവകൾ ത്രിമൂർത്തികൾ മഹർഷികൾ സമസ്തരും ദേവി നിന്റെ മായയിൽ ഭ്രമിച്ചിരുന്നതല്ലയോ. ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ ക്ഷണം ക്ഷണം കുലുങ്ങിയാടി വാഴിലത്തി ഭൈരവി കണ്ണുരുട്ടു നാവു നീട്ടി ഉഗ്രരൂപമാർന്നിടും അമ്മയെ നമിച്ചു കുറ്റമേറ്റു ചൊല്ലി ഞാൻ മുതാ. നിറഞ്ഞ പൂനിലാവ് പോലെ പുഞ്ചിരിച്ചു കാളിക തെളിഞ്ഞൊരൻ മനസ്സിലാകെ ശാന്തി ചിന്തി അംബിക. അമ്പ നിന്നെ വിസ്മരിച്ച തെറ്റു ചെയ്തിടില്ലിനീ. നിന്റെ പ്രേമ ഭക്തി മാത്രം ആശ്രയം കൃപാമയേ. നിന്റെ പ്രേമ ഭക്തി മാത്രം ആശ്രയം കൃപാമയേ. സ്മരിച്ചു നിന്നെ എപ്പോഴും മരിക്കലും സ്മരിച്ചിട ലഭിച്ചു വിസ്മയം മഹേശിനിൻ പദങ്ങളിൽ. ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം ഇടുങ്ങവേ ഉലഞ്ഞുലഞ്ഞുരാസ്യമാർന്നു നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക. ക്ഷണം ക്ഷണം കുലുങ്ങിയാടി ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം കിലുങ്ങവേ ഉലഞ്ഞുലഞ്ഞുലാസ്യമാർന്നു നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക. ചിലം ചിലം ചിലങ്കകൾ പദം പദം കിലുങ്ങവേ ഉലഞ്ഞുറഞ്ഞുലാസ്യമാർന്നു നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക. നൃത്തമാടി കാളിക 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 Kalika, Nrittamani Kalika, Nrittamani Kalika, Nrittamani Kalika, Nrittamani Kalika, सगलागम निगमानिषु चरिते अमृतानन्दमयी निखिलमयहर जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम रसामृत वर्षिणी माता अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी समगमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी पदिदोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी हे सृज जन परिपालिनी जयदा अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी सुरजन पूजित जयत जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज सहादि सुधन्ये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी ओम जय जय जगजननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगलहारिणी माता भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी माता माता अमृतानन्दमयी जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम शांति 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 ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 ओम श्री